Yep. Nice and easy.
So we're just working along this edge here, and Dad's just hooked up to a nice little flatty.
Here he comes now.
Here he comes. It's on the Ballista Juggernaut. Let's get in there. Hi, I'm Ben Job. This is my dad Brad, and we're just out here today at the jumping pin, testing out a few new lures by Ballista. This is the Juggernaut 65, and we've also tried out another one called a Trigger. The Ballista's a new lure out. They have a flashing LED light down in the tail there, which is activated by water. And we're just trying them out on a few flatties up here, and like this one. Yeah, so we're just going to try along some of the banks along here and see if we can pick a couple up, and we'll see how we go.
Okay, here we go. Let's just let this guy go. There he goes. Beautiful.
So the area we're fishing here, this is Jumping Pin Bar, and we're just working along the edge here. We're just chucking the new Ballista Juggernaut into the edge, so we're just fishing along the edge of these snags here. And it's about 4 or 5 feet in there, and it drops out down here to about 20. So these fish, as the first push of the clean water comes in from the ocean, as it pushes up onto the shallow there, the fish also move up there. So we're just targeting those fish on the edge now. One thing with the Juggernaut, you've got to be a little bit careful when there's a lot of trees around like we have here. They're quite susceptible to snags just because it's got 2 trebles on it. But if you use a pair of polarized glasses, you can see the snags on the edge there. So just keep working on the edge of the snags, because that's where the fish will be.
It's hooked up on one here. So I just cast out there, and then I was just hopping this lure back down on the slope as it's coming off into the deeper water. And this is one of the pauses as I was just letting it sink. He just doinked it, and it's a nice feeling when you just load up and feel that weight there.
This is one of the lures we've been using today. This is the Ballista Juggernaut 65. I'll show you how we've been using them. So here we've got a nice little edge along here, got a bit of coffee rock with a bit of a drop off. So I'll just cast it in there nice and close. Let it sink to the bottom. You fish it fairly similarly to a plastic. So just once it's on the bottom, just a couple of jigs and let it sink back down. Couple of jigs, let it sink back down, and just work it back to the boat. Don't let it sit on the bottom for too long, as you've probably got more chance of it getting snagged. And then just repeat that process.
Ballista Lures approached me a couple of months ago to test out this new technology, light emitting diodes. Now these are bright red lights that flash on and off when you throw your lure in the water. What they're interested in is whether or not the addition of these LEDs increases the strike rate, which is what as fishermen we're all after, or does it actually scare the fish away? And that's what we're trying to work out. What we've found is when you put these new lures in the water and the flashing lights come on and off, it actually seems to attract the fish closer to the lures. Now we've added lures without the LEDs, and the fish sort of have a look but then disappear. When you put them in and the LEDs flash on and off, the fish come up, they seem to stay around the lure, and they seem to have this greater interest in what's going on. When you add to that the realistic movement of the lures in the water, and we seem to be getting a higher strike rate.
When it comes to trolling using the trigger, I keep trying to keep the boat in at about 5 to 7 feet. That seems to be optimum working depth for the trigger. And probably the most important part of trolling is using your sounder. We've got one on as we speak.
I'm just using a rod built on a St. Croix blank here. It's about 6'3" long, and you can see it's just got a reasonably light tip, so it just cushions it when the fish wants to run. You can feel the action here, using 6-pound braid, and I've got a 12-pound fluorocarbon leader. Here we come now. Oh yeah, it's just a nice little flatty, hooked in the top of the head. Just having a look at the trigger. He was just checking out the light, I think. Oh, still got a bit of go in him. Comes in, we just swim him into the net. Beautiful.
So we're just working our way along this bank here. It's a nice little drop off from about 2 foot and drops down to about 5. That's just a nice depth to troll at when you're looking for flatties. Particularly this trigger lure, that seems to be a nice depth for it. So the whole time when we're working along here, I'm just watching the sounder the whole time, and I'm driving the boat for the lure all the time. So I'm always zigging and zagging to try to find that depth. Now we had the lure back about probably 20 or so metres, and we've got 2 lures out, so we stagger the depth, stagger the distance back. So one's about 20 and one's maybe about 30. And yeah, just work all the way along this edge, just looking for any signs of bait or anything like that, and just proving the goods.
Okay, let's let her go. There he goes. Safe and sound, let's go and get another one. Over the last 20 years, we've been experimenting with rods. I've been building rods professionally since 1988. So every year we seem to come up with a new idea of what rod we should be using when we go flatty fishing like this. So our latest thing is this blank here. It's a St. Croix blank, made in America. We've kept the weight down on it. So we've used a Fuji K guide here for casting. So it reduces the amount of tangles that we get. And then we've gone to recoil guides for the rest of it, which are very lightweight, keep our binds super short, and only put the minimum amount of epoxy on. So it makes the rod very lightweight. The handle, for comfort, I bring these handles in from Japan. They're all specially made, and they just fit your hand nicely, and makes it a very comfortable rod to use. We've found lengthwise that somewhere between 6 foot and 6'6" is probably the ideal length. You don't want to go too short, and if you go too long, it's too awkward when you get the fish around the boat. So this rod here is about 6'3", and I found this to be a pretty good length to use. We found that fishing for flathead over the last 20 odd years, that October is a good time of the year. The fish seem to spawn around September, October. We always get a good bite leading up to the full moon, and then on the full moon the bigger fish go off the bite when they spawn. But fishing any time from about August through to November is probably prime time for flatties in this area. But we target our bigger fish in September, October. Yep. Oh yeah, nice one.
We're just trolling along this little edge here with the new Ballista trigger. Got about 5 foot of water. Dad's just got not a bad fish on actually. Ooh. Bit of weight there.
It's good with these rods. It's got a nice bend in them, so just a nice cushioning action when the fish wants to run. And slowly back.
It's important to take your time around the boat too, especially when you've got a nice fish on like this. Nice fish.
Oh, not quite ready. Oh yeah, nice fish.
Good sized flatty. The new Ballista trigger goes pretty good. Well done. Yeah, so we've just been trolling along this little bank here at the northern end of the jumping pin, and just working the drop off. It's about 5 foot, going up to about 2 foot, and just the start of the run-in tide. Just trolling the little trigger along here. This is a purple and gold one, and straight onto a nice fish. It's probably 74 centimetres, something like that. And yeah, the trigger's definitely got the tick of approval in my books, that's for sure.
I think we only trolled about 10 metres.
Yeah,
It was straight on. Beautiful. As you can see, this big girl, she's full of eggs. This is our breeding stock for our flatties next year. So it's good to look after them, support them, and let them go to fight another day. Okay, let's let this big girl go. Let's pop her in the water. Get a bit of water going through her gills. Just... Oh look, she's kicking. There she goes. Beautiful. Nice fish. Let's go and get another one.
It's Bill Klassen here from The Fishing Show, and if you like this instructional video and want to learn more, it's simple. Go to fishingshowtv.com.au and see a whole host of additional videos.